There are currently 7.8 billion people living on this planet. We all are born into this world with a blank slate, an open mind. We all breathe the same air, we share the same sun, the moon, the earth. We all try to live our best lives. We learn, we grow, we become wise, and then we disappear. Because life is too short. Too short to live with a closed mind. Today's topic not only resonates with me, but also with our clothing brand, STEPHAN. But I will get into the brand aspects of this in one of the later videos. For now, I would like to provoke a thought of how to live a life with an open mind. A life without boundaries which segregate us. Germany and Europe have taught me that I was living a very narrow-minded life. Us humans have segregated ourselves with physical boundaries we call countries. We have created emotional boundaries we call cultures and traditions. And we have created social boundaries we refer to as power and wealth. I often wonder about people. I wonder about their story. You see this balcony? I think it's beautiful. Right now, I'm wondering who lives in this space, in this beautiful building that's been there for many generations. I wonder how many stories have started and finished here. Or is it a continuation of one story that's passed on from one generation to another? Then I see this building, modest. I can't help but wonder the story of a person or people living in this space, how they are different than the people living in a more luxurious building. I wonder who's happier and why. Then, as I walk through Viktualienmarkt, I can't help but wonder about this old man. He's alone. He walks as he takes a bite from his sandwich, and then he sits. Is he happy? Is he lonely? So many questions go through my head. Like this man who walks across the street with his shopping bag. I wonder what he bought today. Maybe he's planning a romantic dinner with his significant other. Or perhaps he has children. Maybe he has elderly parents he cares for. My point is, we create stories of others based on our own mindset or based on our own agenda. These practices lead us to become narrow-minded. We think what we think based on what we see and what we know. Even when we know in our hearts that the truth could be something completely different. Many factors play into this. I remember going to Paris for the first time, and I saw how passionately people lived. I came to Germany for the first time, and I went to a beer garden, and I saw how happy and joyous people were in such a simple setting. I went to Italy for the first time, and I saw how vibrant and emotionally charged, in a good way, people lived. And when I went to Spain for the first time, I felt everything was just so romantic. Then I went to Austria, and everything just felt so elevated and chic. And all of this was so opposite of what I thought Europe was going to be. You see, in USA, we have this slogan that we are the greatest nation, and therefore, to me, all other countries were not good enough. But that's not a fact. Slogans like these fume ego and unhealthy patriotism. Basically, they make you narrow-minded. So how do we remain open-minded and not let external factors and verbiage affect us? Here are 3 strategies that I've learned by an article which I recently read, written by Shane Snow. The first one is having respect for other viewpoints. Shane Snow talks about something so simple and yet so profound. He says that our thought process can be categorized in two sections, the in-group and the out-group. So when we come across someone, our brain immediately decides if that person is safe or not. If they are familiar to us, so such as they feel like they are similar to our family or similar to our friends or people that are close to us, then immediately and automatically our brain categorizes them in the in-group. But if they are not familiar to us, they're not similar to anything that we've known or anyone that we've known in the past, then our brain immediately thinks of them as a threat. I quote from the article, "We categorize people like us into the safe group and treat them with respect. We listen to them and generally trust their intentions. And we categorize people not like us as unsafe, and we treat them and their ideas with less respect." For example, in my life, when I first came to Germany, I was not open-minded and my brain refused to respect the ways of the people and their land. I was always comparing USA and my experiences with Germany. Once I stopped comparing, I allowed myself to become more open-minded, learn the language, and learn the culture. This led me to be accepted by Germans as much as I accepted their ways of living and their culture. Confidence is key for progression, and we all should be confident. However, becoming overconfident with our own intellect can lead us to become narrow-minded. For example, in USA, a lot of parents will force feed their children with constant rewards for winning. And with this, a lot of the children are conditioned to think at an early age that they must go to an Ivy League school or a private school in order to be successful. So everything becomes competitive starting from a very young age. The focus is so much on winning and being the best that an option to failure doesn't exist. And this over time leads to intellectual overconfidence. If we can acknowledge failure and we accept that we may not have the best solution at all times for everything in life, then we can avoid becoming intellectually overconfident. Separation of ego from intellect. This concept is probably one of the more difficult ones to achieve. Our ego is directly associated with ideas about ourselves. Ego is personal, and somehow we create a relationship, a pretty strong relationship between ego and intellect, which leads us to intellectual overconfidence. Our ego makes everything personal. So when we have a dialogue with someone who questions our ideas, we immediately become defensive and we become even more closed-minded. I was a person who had no separation from ego and intellect. My intellect fed my ego, and my ego made me feel more intellect than others. The change in me happened when I started traveling to Europe, and the transition to becoming open-minded happened when I started traveling to Germany and started living in Germany. It made me realize that I lived a life of a very closed-minded person. Compared to my European friends, I was very closed-minded. I worked on it, and I continue to work on it because this is not something that is a permanent fix. It's a continued effort. I quote once again, "Changing our minds requires us to consider other viewpoints, acknowledge we could be wrong, and not take ideas personal. At that point, revising our viewpoint is almost a piece of cake." For my life, not that I worked on the previous dimensions that we discussed, this one pretty much comes naturally to me. Now, when I see something that I'm not familiar with, or I come across an idea which is very foreign to me, I don't judge. I listen, I assess, and I try to learn. And with this, I have become more peaceful with how people behave, what people do, how they live, and how life unfolds. Of course, I have my struggles here and there, so it's a work in progress. But obviously, with this change, it doesn't mean that I will entertain hurtful people or be okay with hurtful behavior. For me, at this stage in life, it's all about sharing the space that we live in, we call Earth, sharing our cultures, sharing our ideas, and sharing love. And all of this self-awareness, I have to say, it came from being in Germany and traveling through Europe. It really opened up me as a person. It opened up my heart. It opened up my eyes. Sometimes I wonder, am I the only one, or have other people experienced this as well? So I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section about this topic. And if you would prefer to send me a message rather than comment, then please do so and I will respond. And with this, we come to a closure for this discussion. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week.